Social media is not a real place. That's one of the most disappointing statements of the 21st century. But it's not a surprise because many people in this century are disappointments. I came into Enugu almost a week ago, not for this event solely. If it was, I would have come maybe yesterday. I came for a retreat with my team. Some people I met on the internet. Now, this was a vision that was birthed in the living room of a small space where we were living somewhere in Transekulu. We started a small Christian discipleship platform with nothing but a smartphone, a vision, and a dream. Something that I believed was God's instruction up until today. Now, we had no physical office, no team, no structure, just a vision. Now, fast forward to the year 2025, we have a retreat, something that has become a yearly episode. And people are coming in, my team members, people that I man this vision with. They're coming in from Kano, from Jos, from Abuja, from Lagos, from Accra, Ghana, Cape Town, South Africa, and indeed we exist across the globe. Now, when we had this retreat for the first time about 3 years ago, when we came together, we had been working together for years before that. Praying, sleeping, waking, training, having never met each other, but impacting lives across the globe. Now, these names, these people were just names on screens, voices over the phone, and they quickly became humans to see, to experience, to embrace on a deeper level and to fellowship with. And then somebody will tell me that social media is not real. Which begs the question, what is reality? See, whatever has the power to demand a response from you emotionally, physically, mentally, even when you do not want to respond, is realer than cloth on your back. Reality is not always what you believe, what you imagine. Reality is what persists, what resists in spite of everything. It is what interrupts your plans and forces you to adapt. Now, in some sense, reality is not always what is true. It is what is undeniable in your experience. And if you look around you in the world today, you will realize that our reality is changing, especially the reality of how we react and interact as social beings, how we meet people, what it means to know people, how those relationships are sustained and sustained. But the problem is, this interaction mode is not changing fast enough. Now, even though our social interaction has been radically transformed by the presence of social media and smart technologies, the evolution of social interaction has somewhat stalled in the last 10 years. Now, let's look at it. Telephone communication has been the one piece of technology that has transformed human interaction the most in perhaps the last 1,000 years. Now, the first telephone was launched and patented in the year 1876. And almost 100 years later, in 1973, we had the first portable mobile telephone. 97 years it took. 97 years between the launch of the telephone and the release of the first mobile device. After that, it took just 21 years for the first smartphone to be released, IBM's Simon personal computer, which could send emails and fax. It was released in 1994. So 97 years, 21 years, and just 13 years later, we saw the release of the first iPhone. However, from the launch of the first iPhone to our reality of smartphone technology today, in 2025, not much has changed. we are still largely experiencing social interaction the same way. Almost 20 years after the release of the first iPhone, we are still tapping on screens to give commands, swiping to scroll, and clicking buttons on the side of the phone to increase volume. Now, if these timelines are anything to go by, it is needless to say that we are due for a radical disruption. Now, but what does this future look like? Who does it belong to? Is the internet not addictive enough as it is? Why must we push these boundaries? The simple answer, it's because we must. That is human nature. That is our reality. And it is reality, it's the reality of things that forces us to adapt, to continue to evolve. And as we adapt, we must adapt in ways that maintains our humanity. Now, as we move into a dispensation of wearable technology, neural links, interconnectedness, we must find a way to preserve local interaction. In a world where 4 people can be seated together in the same space, television is on, and yet everybody is on their phones, connecting with people who are someplace else. In a world where you will hush somebody who is trying to talk to you just so you can maintain the connection with somebody who is elsewhere, we must prioritize local interaction and find a way to inculcate that into what we're doing if we are going to preserve some parts of our humanity. Now, here is something for you to think about, something you can actually act on. What is my place in this future? And how can we, not only as human beings, but as Africans, Nigerians, Ndibo, not only be a part of this future, but contribute to shaping it? We must ask questions like, as we imagine the future of interaction, how can we position ourselves to control resources that are not only central to where we are going as a species, but indispensable to protecting our humanity? As the world prioritizes connecting with people who are in other spaces, one commodity that will never go out of style is trust. How do I know I can trust this new connection? How do I know I can trust this person enough to bring them into my circle? How do I know them well enough to trust them? We must invest in technologies that provide trust, but not only investing in them, positioning ourselves to be key figures in a space, in this space that we're going into. Now, blockchain technology. Our children must learn about this and be well versed in it. Why? As I sat in a room somewhere off the coast of the Mediterranean with a bunch of bright minds, my colleagues from all nationalities, we brainstormed on the future of social interaction. It dawned on me that these products and services built on the blockchain are going to be really central to that future. And my people, Africans, we are sleeping in a revolution. Beyond speculation, beyond the allure of riches and quick gains that drives a lot of young people and people into stuff like trading cryptocurrencies, we must, as a society, especially in this part of the world, begin to explore the idea of the underlying technology. This, so far, has been man's best attempt at providing identity to individuals in the social and economic space with immutable and irrevocable accuracy. Now, this will not only be important for the future of social interaction, it will be central to it. And if we are to create a future where the world comes to us, we must not be sleeping or regulating to death the very ideas that the future depends upon. Don't mention me. We don't do that here.